Hello, this is Ben Television's News Roundup, a compilation of major stories in the weekend. I'm Tunde Alabi. Thank you for being part of the program today. UKIP leader Paul Nuttall has said UKIP remains committed to genuine Brexit and guarantees a negotiation in the best interest of Britain by acting as a government backbone. The party also promises to protect the NHS against becoming an international health service.
It is an election which is on our turf. It is a Brexit election. We also believe that a whopping Conservative majority will only serve to put Brexit in peril. Hordes of Tory lobby fodder will allow the Prime Minister to backslide, safe in the knowledge that she has the votes banked. And we are not convinced that the Prime Minister, who campaigned to remain in the referendum, will get the deal that the British people want. She is already beginning to backslide on immigration, with the government now telling us that immigration will run at today's level for the next decade. She has said nothing to guarantee our waters and protect our fishermen. And she will not rule out paying a huge divorce bill once we have left the European Union. UKIP goes into this snap election determined to hold the government's feet to the fire on Brexit. We will act as the government's backbone in these negotiations. Indeed, if voters elect a UKIP MP, they can be sure it will be a true Brexiteer, someone who has campaigned all their political lives for a free, democratic and independent Britain. We are not the fly-by-night Brexiteers. Indeed, if it wasn't for UKIP, there would have been no referendum in the first place. And if it wasn't for the hard work of UKIP activists, then we would not have secured Brexit. Now, naturally, the question I get asked most by journalists, by you guys, is what is the point of UKIP after Brexit? I believe we have to see this through to the end. We are only halfway through the war. It is a job half done. We must continue the fight. Therefore, UKIP will be fielding candidates all over the country at this election. We will also be prepared to put country above party. To that end, I have asked branches to step aside in this election in seats where there is a chance, where a true Brexiteer, regardless of political affiliation, could be replaced by a Remain MP. This, I believe, is a principled stand that will ensure that we get the kind of Brexit that people voted for on June the 23rd last year. And what is this kind of Brexit? It is a Brexit whereby we control our own borders. It is a Brexit which allows us to sign our own trade deals all over the globe. It is a Brexit whereby we do not pay a divorce bill to the European Union. And it is a Brexit which ensures that real democracy is returned to the United Kingdom. Finally, it is a Brexit whereby our fishing communities are protected. UKIP will go into this election with a bold and radical manifesto which is fully costed. We will tell you not only where the money will be spent, but also where the money will come from.
The Labour Party has promised a tuition-free education, nationalize rail, mail and energy firms. In his manifesto, the Labour leader also promised to only authorize the use of armed forces in combat only if all options have been exhausted. The Labour manifesto, which was leaked days before it was launched, stated that the Labour Party will not set a migration target and will also rule out a no-deal Brexit.
Because there is no doubt this country is being held back. If your children aren't getting the education they deserve because the class sizes are too high, then your children are being held back. If you're a young couple or anyone trying to get a home and can't make a home because rent and house prices are too high, then you're being held back. If you've worked hard all your life, but you can't pursue your dreams of your retirement because you're supporting your family well into their adulthood, then you too are being held back. But Britain is a rich country, the 6th richest country in the world. We caught a glimpse of that wealth only 2 days ago, when Rupert Murdoch's Sunday Times published its rich list. In the last year, Britain's 1,000 richest people have seen their wealth rise by 14% to £658 billion. That is 6 times the total budget of our National Health Service. Imagine the outcry if public sector workers decided to put in for a 14% pay rise. Just imagine it. But it's no surprise that the richest have got even richer after the tens of billions the Tories have handed them in tax cuts. That's what we mean when we say the system is rigged for the rich. So, thanks for making that clear, Mr. Murdoch. And so I don't know if Rupert Murdoch plans to give us any other help during the election campaign, but we're grateful for that information. In fact, I'm more likely expecting hostility. Our challenge to a rigged system is bound to meet hostility. Change always involves taking on vested interests. And there is a real danger that the Tories' scaremongering and spin machine will make some people settle for less than they should, resign themselves to things the way they are, underestimating just how many more burdens the Tories could impose if their mission to rig the system for the rich isn't halted. The stakes are very high. We know from last week's local elections how big the challenge is. We have to convince the sceptical and undecided they're not sure which way to turn. Who can blame them? People are alienated from politics and politicians. Our Westminster system is broken and our economy is rigged. Both are run in the interests of the few. Labour is under attack because we are standing up to the elites who are determined to hijack Brexit and pay even less tax and take even more of the wealth that we all create. Labour is under attack because we're standing up to the corporate interests plundering our National Health Service. How much more will be privatised if the Tories get another 5 years? We're drawing a line under decades of privatisation, from energy to rail to health to social care.
US President Donald Trump has been left defending his decision to sack former FBI Director James Comey. President Trump said that Comey was fired based on recommendation from the Justice Department. Meanwhile, opposition Democrats have accused President Trump of attempt to cover up the investigation being carried out by Comey over possible collusion between Trump campaign and Russia during last year's U.S. presidential election.
Everybody knows Dr. Kissinger.
Meeting with former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger at the White House, President Trump was asked about his decision to fire FBI Director James Comey.
Mr. Comey, why did you fire Director Comey?
Because he wasn't doing a good job, very simply. He was not doing a good job.
In his letter to Comey, Trump said he was acting based on recommendations from senior Justice Department officials concerned about Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation last year.
Hey, hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go!
But Comey's dismissal sparked protests outside the White House and a political firestorm elsewhere in Washington. In the Senate, Democrats, including leader Chuck Schumer, demanded that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein now appoint a special counsel to lead the investigation into possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia during last year's U.S. election.
If he believes, as I do, that the American people must be able to have faith in the impartiality of this investigation, he must appoint a special prosecutor and get his investigation out of the hands of the FBI and far away from the heavy hand of this administration.
A White House spokeswoman rejected Democratic fears that Trump was trying to quash the Russia investigation.
There's no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, and we'd love for that to be completed so that we can all move on.
Some Republicans also expressed concern about Comey's firing and whether it might impact the ongoing FBI probe. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who opposes the naming of a special counsel, said Democrats had long complained about Comey's actions involving Clinton during the presidential campaign.
Our Democratic colleagues complaining about the removal of an FBI director whom they themselves repeatedly and sharply criticized.
The timing of Trump's decision to fire Comey raises a lot of questions that probably won't be answered quickly, says analyst Frank Sesno.
Are they actually trying to put discipline back in the FBI, or are they trying to remove from the FBI the person who was leading the probe into the administration or those around the campaign that got Donald Trump elected?
Russia is fake news.
President Trump has long dismissed the Russia probe as a hoax, but by firing Comey, Trump may have set in motion a chain of events that could lead to an even more robust probe into possible ties between his campaign and Russia.
Meanwhile, analysts have said the sacking of James Comey Tuesday was the height of a rocky, year-long relationship between President Trump and the former FBI director.
Earlier this afternoon, President Trump called me and informed me he was firing Director Comey. I told the President, Mr. President, with all due respect, you are making a big mistake. The first question the administration has to answer is why now? If the administration had objections to the way Director Comey handled the Clinton investigation, they had those objections the minute the President got into office. But they didn't fire him then. Why did it happen today? We know the House is investigating Russian interference in our elections that benefited the Trump campaign. We know the Senate is investigating. We know the FBI has been looking into whether the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians, a very serious offense. Were these investigations getting too close to home for the President?
Oh, and there's James. Will you please? He's become more famous than me.
Even during the best of times, for Donald Trump, it was a love-hate relationship. The president's feud with FBI Director James Comey began during the campaign, when Comey refused to recommend charges against Trump's rival, Hillary Clinton, for using a private email server while Secretary of State.
We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Then candidate Trump was furious, arguing Clinton should have been jailed over the emails. But Trump's attitude shifted just 11 days before the election, when Comey announced an FBI review into a new batch of Clinton emails, a statement many Democrats say helped Trump at the polls.
I respect the fact that Director Comey was able to come back after what he did.
What he did, he brought back his reputation. He brought it back. I, Donald John Trump,
Once Trump took office, his tone changed yet again, especially after Comey confirmed he was heading an investigation into whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia to interfere in the election. White House officials say Comey's investigation has nothing to do with his removal. Instead, they cite a letter from the Justice Department that criticizes Comey's handling of Clinton's emails. But many lawmakers aren't buying that reasoning, questioning why Trump would fire Comey for the very actions he earlier praised.
The first question the administration has to answer is why now?
Trump, though, is confident. Asked Wednesday why he fired Comey, he replied,
Because he wasn't doing a good job, very simply. He was not doing a good job.
Nigerian refugees who fled to Cameroon due to Boko Haram continued attacks in northeastern Nigeria are making their way back to the country. The refugees are calling for help to resettle them and fight starvation.
At the border between Nigeria and Cameroon, people wait to head back to their homes, but all too often, there are no homes to go home to.
I spent 3 years in Cameroon from 2014 to 2017. Then we decided to come with all my family. We paid for our transportation to come, even this small child. I paid 4,000 naira for his transport if the money is converted to naira, but because we want to serve our country, I gathered all my family with our belongings to our dear country Nigeria. Now what we want from the government is to help us. We don't have wood to cook. We don't have anything in our hands, even soap to wash. As you see, this sign on my face is a sickness because I have no money to take care of it. So I left it like that. If possible, we want the government to open our roads and markets, not leave us like that in order to start up with our businesses.
There is precious little clean water. What there is must be brought in by relief agencies. The government's long-running war with Boko Haram has turned these people's hometown into rubble. Tents have replaced homes. Toilets are a hole in the ground surrounded by blankets.
We have about 144,000 internally displaced persons in the Ngala IDP camp. And in that whole number, all of them depend on the borehole that is behind us for potable water. So it is grossly inadequate. So it's very fundamental that issues that has to do with water be addressed as quickly as possible.
It is another example of food insecurity driven by conflict. To the east, South Sudan is already suffering under drought-related famine, and the situation is being made worse by similar conflicts.
In South Sudan, since their conflict erupted, 82 humanitarian workers have been killed, 15 this year alone. They are killing humanitarian workers, they are looting aid, they are not respecting the rules of war. We can't access those most in need because of the disrespect of international. So let the African governments put pressure on these groups to respect the humanitarian law.
But relief agencies say that even if the conflicts were to end tomorrow, they don't have the money to help the people in need all across East Africa.
With that report, we'll conclude the news roundup for this week. Thank you for being part of the program. Tunde Alabi, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye. As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create the platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, your voice, your opinion on our TV.